Australia's toughest ever anti-terror laws have passed Parliament tonight, promising mandatory prison sentences for publicly displaying any terror symbol. It comes as Peter Dutton accuses security agencies of bypassing the Prime Minister, and he's now calling for a public inquiry.
In the House of Representatives, Labor and Liberal MPs side by side passing new mandatory sentences for hate crimes.
Ayes 117, noes 13.
That unity didn't last long.
It's obvious that the Prime Minister was kept in the dark. The question is why.
The opposition demanding an inquiry into when the Prime Minister was told about an alleged terror plot thwarted by authorities in Dural in Sydney's southwest.
So stop the investigations. Stop doing the work to track down the perpetrators of these crimes and engage in politics.
You must have been absolutely livid that you weren't notified.
No, you're making an incredible assumption there, Carl.
That's a new line again. And I just think we need somebody with honesty and integrity to have a look at the process.
Suggesting security agencies or state police forces were keeping information from the Prime Minister over fear it would be leaked. A suggestion without evidence but with plenty of insinuations.
I'm not going to comment on discussions I've had with individuals out of agencies, and people can draw their own conclusions.
But for Peter Dutton, there is no issue too big for him to show how small his approach to politics is.
The AFP today reluctant.
Was the Prime Minister briefed?
This is a public hearing and it's not an appropriate forum for us to provide information.
When we're asking simple questions at the AFP, you expect simple answers.
The government has rejected the inquiry. It had also rejected the coalition's calls for mandatory sentencing until an 11th hour change.
I want the perpetrators of anti-Semitism to be caught, charged, held to account for their crimes and put in the clink.
Under the changes, 12 months minimum sentences for publicly displaying Nazi symbols or giving the Nazi salute. 12 months minimum for displaying or waving the flag of other terror groups. 3 years minimum for financing terrorism and 6 years minimum for terror acts.
The Prime Minister, I think, needs to be much clearer about what he wants and not what Peter Dutton calls for.
If you're going to have a Prime Minister who's a cheap imitation of Peter Dutton, when you have an election coming up, why wouldn't you just choose the real thing?
It is our legislation, and our legislation was the first to outlaw any of these symbols.
Fewer than half the coalition senators voted for the changes, but the laws tonight are through the Parliament. Charles Croucher, 9 News.